April 19, 1989. In the heart of New York City's Central Park, a brutal assault would set off a storm that changed 5 young lives forever. A young woman, a jogger, was attacked and left for dead. Fear gripped the city, anger filled the streets, and the police, desperate for answers, moved fast, too fast. Within hours, they had their suspects, 5 teenagers, all Black and Latino. Their names, Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, Yusef Salaam, Raymond Santana, and Korey Wise. They were boys, scared, confused, and caught in a system that saw their skin before their innocence. What followed would become one of the most shocking miscarriages of justice in American history. This is their story, the story of the Central Park 5. It was a warm spring night in New York City, April 19, 1989. Central Park, usually calm and peaceful, was alive with the sounds of laughter and chatter. Dozens of teenagers had gathered in the park that evening, hanging out, talking, and running around like kids do. Among them were 5 friends from Harlem: Antron, Kevin, Yusef, Raymond, and Korey. None of them could have imagined that before sunrise, their lives would be changed forever. Around 9 p.m., reports started coming in. Groups of teenagers were causing trouble in the park, harassing cyclists and joggers. Police began rounding up anyone who looked suspicious. At that same time, in another part of the park, a young woman named Trisha Mee Lee was brutally attacked while jogging. She was beaten, raped, and left unconscious, barely clinging to life. When officers discovered her body in the early hours of the morning, panic spread across the city. The crime was horrifying, and the pressure to find the person responsible grew by the hour. But instead of following the evidence, investigators turned to the easiest targets: the teenagers they had already detained. Those boys, scared, tired, and confused, had no idea they were about to be blamed for a crime they knew nothing about. The police interrogated the boys for hours, some for more than 24 hours straight. There were no lawyers present, in some cases, not even their parents. The detectives used fear, intimidation, and manipulation, telling the boys that if they just said what the police wanted, they could go home. Exhausted and terrified, the boys broke down. Under pressure, they gave statements. Stories that didn't match each other, stories filled with inconsistencies. But that didn't matter. The police had what they wanted: confessions on tape. Those recordings would later become the centerpiece of the prosecution's case. 5 scared teenagers, each pointing fingers at one another, repeating details fed to them by investigators. The truth was buried beneath the weight of public outrage and political pressure. By the time the case went to trial, the city had already made up its mind. The press labeled them as a wolf pack. Headlines screamed for justice. Politicians demanded harsh punishment. In the courtroom, there was no real evidence linking the boys to the attack. No fingerprints, no DNA, no eyewitnesses. The only thing the prosecution had were those taped confessions. Confessions the boys had been forced to give. Still, the jury believed them. Between 1990 and 1991, all 5 were convicted of rape, assault, and related charges. They were sentenced to prison, ranging from 5 to 15 years behind bars. None of them were older than 16. As the verdicts were read, tears filled the courtroom, not because justice had been served, but because innocence had been ignored. Prison was brutal. The boys were treated as monsters, mocked, beaten, and isolated. Families were torn apart. Dreams were shattered. Each of them struggled to survive, holding on to one thing: the truth. They were innocent, and they never stopped saying it. Korey Wise, the oldest, was tried as an adult. He served his time in some of the toughest prisons in New York, enduring years of violence and loneliness. Yet, even behind bars, He held on to hope that one day the truth would be revealed. In 2002, more than a decade later, a man named Matias Reyes, already serving a life sentence for other crimes, confessed to the attack on the Central Park jogger. DNA tests confirmed it. Reyes had acted alone. The real attacker had been free all along, while 5 innocent boys had spent their youth in prison. That same year, the convictions of the Central Park 5 were officially vacated. The truth was finally recognized, but the damage had already been done. When they walked out of court as free men, they were no longer the same boys who had entered prison years earlier. They had lost their childhood, their education, and years of their lives. But they hadn't lost their dignity. The city of New York eventually settled a civil lawsuit with the 5 men, awarding them $41 million for the injustice they endured. But for them, no amount of money could erase the pain, the stigma, or the time stolen from them. Their story became a symbol, a warning of what happens when fear, race, and power collide inside a broken system. The Central Park 5 reminded the world that justice can fail, but truth can still rise. Today, they are known as the Exonerated 5, men who turn their pain into purpose, speaking out for those who can't. This was never just about one case. It was about the system that failed them and continues to fail so many others. This is Unjust Verdicts.